As of this morning, 40 American airports are cutting 10% of air traffic. The reduced schedule is expected to impact thousands, and already has impacted thousands of international and domestic flights. The American FAA reported more than 400 air traffic controller staffing shortages in just this past month. And the cut is the latest repercussion of the longest government shutdown in American history, 38 days. So for more on what this means for Canadian travelers, we're joined by John Gradek. He's a faculty lecturer for the Aviation Management program at McGill University. John, these air traffic cuts are only happening in the U.S. Canadians are also feeling the impact. What will they be experiencing in the days ahead?
Well, yeah, I think there's breaking news this morning about that 10% cut. I think that the U.S. government has kind of stepped back a little because of the messaging that was going on over the last 24 hours. I think it's only a 4% cut today. By Tuesday, 6%. By next Thursday, 8%. And by next weekend, 10%. So they're slowly bringing these cuts into play. I think that the impact on Canadians will be that their transborder flights that are originating in Canada or coming out of the U.S. airports will have some delays. Not sure how many cancellations we'll have. That's still to be negotiated. The FAA is mandating these cuts. The airlines are looking at their schedule and proposing flight schedule reductions as a result of that cut. So this is still a work in progress. This morning looks pretty good. I think the airports in Canada there haven't been too many flights that have been canceled. I think I saw one this morning on a Toronto-Chicago flight on American, but that's about it. So it's what I call a slow tsunami. It's going to take a while to ramp up, but there will be an impact on Canadians for sure.
America's Core 30, what they're calling the Core 30 airports, are on a preliminary list of sites that are expected to be impacted. We know this morning that both Air Canada and WestJet have put out statements saying, they are waiting and watching to see what happens. But which airports are likely to impact Canadian travel?
Oh, I think that, the Canadian carriers operating into the U.S. operate to all the airports that are in this list of 40 airports being affected by cancellation. So there are not too many airports that Canadians fly to nonstop from Canada that will escape these cuts. So the question is, when you're flying into Chicago, Chicago has 1,200 flights a day. Between Air Canada and Porter and WestJet, they have about 30 flights. So there's a lot of U.S. flights that will be affected. We're probably on the fringe. So I would say probably about 1 or 2 flights a day among the 3 carriers will be affected by this. But who knows? It depends on how quickly the FAA wants to ramp up these cuts and whether controllers, in fact, in certain cities decide to really have a greater day of sick-outs than others. So this is a guess on the part of the U.S. government as to where they think these controllers will be calling in sick. They have no idea. It's going to be up to the controllers to decide how best to move forward.
John, using your industry experience here, what does this look like if the shutdown continues?
Well, it's going to be, the issue is going to be really placing airplanes in the right place at the right time to run your schedule. You cut a flight from Toronto to Chicago. That flight in Chicago, might go to Calgary. So it might originate in Toronto, but it might end up in Calgary. So we're not going to be escaping just the city pair that's got a problem with a flight. It'll be affecting all of our transborder flights, and it'll cascade into Canadian flights as well, because those U.S. flights basically connect to Canadian operations. So it's going to be something that Canadian travelers are going to have to watch very carefully over the next few days. Make sure they're aware of all their flight statuses on the airline websites, and to make sure they keep watching those flights and get some flexibility in their schedule.
What about people who are either thinking of booking their holiday travel now? I mean, you've got American Thanksgiving coming up at the end of the month. You've got other holidays happening in December. So how is that likely to impact? And what about people who haven't made plans and are thinking of doing so?
Oh, people hate uncertainty, and people really don't want to, take a chance in doing these things. So, I would normally say if this was affecting an airline or 2 airlines, book on another airline as a backup. This one is broad. It's going to affect, the whole industry. So there really isn't much alternatives if you're traveling by air. The option would be, travel by car, stay home, get on, get on Facebook, do some
John,
do some
people don't
Teams
like those
meetings.
options.
Yeah, it's affecting the industry. It's not affecting an airline. They're not picking on one airline or another. It's a broad brush across the whole industry, and that's going to be chaotic.
Yeah, not an airline issue, but one that definitely impacts them. John Gradek, faculty lecturer for the Aviation Management Program at McGill University. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Anne-Marie, yourself as well.